Welcome in, everyone. I'm SquishableMoon, your shooting star with a ranch addiction and fewer brain cells than the common garden snail, and welcome back to my channel. I've been gone for a while, but I'm finally feeling well enough to start making videos again. And today we're going to be starting with something super simple because I don't want to just dive back into a bunch of stuff and make a whole series, but I had to talk about this one. Does anybody like the game Chained Together? I like Chained Together. If you don't know, Chained Together is a PC game that came out on Steam in June 19, 2024. In Chained Together, players start in the depths of hell and must climb their way to the top by navigating a series of obstacles, floating platforms, and hazardous environments. Because you are bound together, by a chain of course, one player's mistake or sudden movement can pull the entire group down into the abyss. The game supports up to 4 players, testing both your teamwork and your friendship as you coordinate jumps and pull each other after near-death falls. Now, okay, hear me out. What if we turn that concept into a monster romance? Hence why I'm making this video, by the way. If you don't know, I love making characters and I love making books. I'm an author, you know, published. Go buy my book. At least read it. Please read my book. I want reviews. I need your help designing the male lead. Introducing, drumroll please, The Gauntlet to Heaven. That's right, a book based loosely off the idea of Chained Together. First, we are going to get into the concept, and then we'll get into the characters, and then we'll get into whatever else I decide I want to talk about, because I'm in a little yappy yap mood. So, concept. The concept of the book is a lot similar to the game than you might think. We just took the general concept and sort of twisted it and added some new things to make it our own, because obviously we didn't want to just copy the game. That wouldn't be very kosher or very nice of us, and so we just had to. Like, the book would probably come out amazing if it was just based off of, you know, Chained Together. Chained Together is a good game. I feel like anyone could make that into a movie. But we wanted to make our own thing. We are going to be starting off with the setting of the book. Our book takes place mostly in hell. It could also be considered a type of purgatory, but for the sake of it, we are just going to say the book takes place in hell so it doesn't get all complicated. We are going to start from the bottom up, so I'm going to start with the worst of the rings of hell, and then go into the least worst sins of hell, if that makes sense. We're going from the bottom up, so when you die, you're at the bottom of the rings, you know. If you do something horrible like murder, rape, who knows what, burglar, larceny, start at the bottom. So the last ring of hell, which is the 8th ring, is the ring of pride. It is an excessive belief in one's own abilities, often considered the root of all sins. So of course we had to make this the root of all the sins in the book. This ring is going to be filled with statues that are cracked and decaying, and it is going to be sort of a museum. Basically, everything that you would want to be remembered about you is going to be in the museum. It is going to be based off of pride, everything that you found prideful in your life. It is going to have statues, it's going to have collections of memorabilia that you had. It's going to have pictures, paintings, like you're a royal ambassador. You're going to have everything that you want in this museum with its rich history all about you. So every sinner that goes into this hell gets a different layer of things that they find out about themselves and what they think they were supposed to look like in death. The 7th layer is going to be lust. It is an uncontrollable or passionate longing, especially for the sexual things. This concept is basically what you're going to think lust is going to be like. It's going to be the porn addicts, the sexual deviants, the gooners, the people who do like sexual assault probably. This place is going to be everything that you expect lust to be. And yes, it is going to be a giant sex dungeon. This is going to be an 18+ book, by the way, if you don't know. by the way, I will also make a safe for work version of this book, so if you are under 18, you will also be able to read it, but I must warn you, it is going to at least be 16 plus. So if you're 16 or older, you will probably be able to read this book. So there's going to be a safe for work version and a not safe for work version. But back to the video. This lair is going to be everything sexual. When you're going down the halls, you're probably going to be hearing moaning and buzzing. We don't need to talk about it anymore. You already know what this is. We already know what lust is. We get it. The 6th layer of hell, which takes place in this story, is wrath. Wrath is the uncontrolled feeling of anger and rage or desire for vengeance. This is going to be everything that has to do with anger and mistrust and hatred. Everything that you've bottled up, all the anger and rage you have is going to come out in this ring of hell. Let's say you've committed a sin like killing somebody out of anger. That is probably going to land you in this ring of hell. Now, this hell ring has a lot of information on it because this story is going to take place around this ring of hell mostly. This ring is based off of World War II or, similar wars to that. It is going to be a battlefield full of volcanoes. It is going to be the lair of hell that looks the most like what you think hell in the Bible is going to look like. It is going to be full of volcanoes, chains, lava pools, constant fear of getting shot. You're going to hear guns going off. You're going to hear explosions. It's going to be constantly raining ash everywhere. This area is where you are going to spawn in the trenches. So if you don't know, trenches are kind of like these dugout holes that you can hide in when it's like war times to keep you safe during war. But this is going to be a wooden trench. So the walls are going to be made out of wood and they're going to be about 8 feet high so you cannot see out of them. This is also going to be a sort of labyrinth. This layer is also going to have minefields and other things like that. The 5th layer is going to be the layer of greed. It is an intense selfish desire for wealth or power or material gain. This is going to be filled with people who are running companies and do whatever they can to make more money. The bad people who don't care about others, killing people behind closed doors, the mafia people, all of the bad people who would really toss you into the ocean just to have money. This layer, by the way, is one of my favorite layers to come up with because, hear me out, jingle jingle, the back rooms. I said your favorite word, the back rooms, jingle jingle jingle. Are you paying attention? The back rooms. Okay, I'm sorry. I had to do that. This layer is going to be basically the back rooms, but it is going to be filled with nothing but gold, gems, and valuables and everything you could possibly want. In this level, you're going to be given a special gem or a coin or some type of thing that you are going to have to keep safe throughout your entire visit while you try to get out of this ring of hell. Now, you may be thinking, this is going to be evil. I mean, this is going to be easy. No, this is not going to be easy for the people who are specifically put into this ring of hell. Because they are so greedy, they are not going to want to give up all of the things they see in the back rooms. They're going to want to take all the gold. They're going to want to take all of the jewels. They're going to want to take computer parts. Whatever they find valuable, they are going to want to take with them. But this is the big issue. You must give up your special items in order to get out of the back rooms. The gem or whatever you have, you cannot take with you. You must give it up at the door and leave it there. And of course, if you're greedy, nobody is going to want to do that. That's why I like this ring of hell the most, because you can't take it with you. And the people who are greedy aren't going to want to do that. They're going to have to try and find another way to get their stuff out of that back rooms, and they're not going to be able to. And the best part is, the more items you pick up, the bigger the back rooms become, and the harder it is for you to get out of them. But at any time, you can just put all this stuff back down, and the back rooms will become a lot easier to navigate. But we all know people are not going to do that. The 4th ring of hell is going to be gluttony. It is the excessive indulgence in food, drink, and sometimes drugs. This was the ring I had a lot of hard times coming up with a concept for that wasn't like overdone. I have this kind of idea of either a huge grocery store or some type of diner where every single thing you could possibly want just magically gets in the store. But this isn't just packaged items like chips and candy and food. You can also get the snacks you had when you were a child that they stopped selling. This is the last meal your mom ever made before she passed away. This could be the perfect dinner you had that one time in Greece or on a honeymoon. Whatever you want that is food or drink, you can have as much as you want it without getting sick, throwing up, or fat. It is going to be the perfect meal every single time. The food never spoils, never goes cold. It is perfect every time. And this also goes for drugs as well. Maybe you're a heroin addict or a cocaine addict or a pill popper, or maybe you like painkillers. All of those drugs you will be able to find in the pharmacy. And the best part is, none of it will have a downside. You can get as high as you want, mix highs, mix drugs, do whatever you want forever. You will never die, you will never get sick, you will never have withdrawals, but you can get high forever. But as soon as you leave that ring of hell, you can never go back in, and you can never ever feel it again. If you leave, it's done. Basically, you're done. Or maybe you can go back and it just nobody ever wants to leave. Something like that. I think that could be cool. The third ring of hell is going to be envy. It is resentment or disconnect over another person's possessions or quality, or the feeling of resentment for somebody doing better or having more than you. There were a lot of ideas I had for this ring of hell, but it was also hard trying to come up with how I was going to make the physical manifestation of envy in a place like hell. So we came up with the idea that whenever you are spawned in this place of hell, this ring of envy, you are spawned in with a clone. This clone will look exactly like you, talk like you, have all your memories, be just like you in every way except more perfect. All your insecurities, gone. All your trauma, gone. Anything that you possibly think would make you less of a person, gone. Everything that you want in yourself will be put into the manifestation of a clone. Not only that, but you will have to spend your time climbing up this spire with them. And you're going to have to race them to the top to see which one of you are better. I think this is a cool idea because you are going to constantly have to see what you could have been like as a better person. The second ring of hell is sloth. It is basically extreme laziness, apathy, and failure to act as the way one should. We are making this a giant blanket for it. Yeah. For it to be it's basically going to be everything you could possibly want in comfort. There isn't going to be anything bad there or anything. It's just going to be blankets, teddy bear chefs, cartoon animals, adorable little stuffed animals who are butlers. Basically, you will not have to lift a finger there. TV, relaxation, blankets, napping, all of that, chillaxing, all of that stuff. And nothing gets done in this lair either. Literally no one does anything in this lair. Now, you may be thinking, this lair is 1 or 2 layers away from getting into heaven. They could literally just go and start going to heaven right now. But nobody's going to do that. There are no monsters. You have to go over maybe 1 or 2 jumps, and then you get into the next layer of heaven, and then you get into heaven. But no, they are too lazy, and they are not going to be lifting a finger because that is how lazy they are. They will not get out of there because of their laziness. That's when we get on to the final layer of hell, which is the first layer, which is called limbo. Limbo broadly refers to a stage of being caught in a transitional or uncertain place between 2 steps. That's when we finally get into the last layer of hell, which is limbo. That's when we finally get into the last layer of hell, which is the first layer, which we call limbo. It broadly refers to being caught between 2 places that are uncertain or unclear of an outcome. I really like the idea of limbo as kind of a transitional area between two places, so it makes sense there would be a place like this in the Spire. This lair is basically... Okay, do you guys know Steven Universe? Do you know Pearl? Pearl's room is full of water and like waterfalls. That's kind of like what I want this to look like. Lots of waterfalls, lots of water, and maybe lots of mirrors. So in this lair, you're going to have to look at all your past actions and really reflect on who you were when you were alive and see if you actually deserve to be redeemed and go to heaven. You may be thinking, oh, a bad person isn't going to do that. But in order to get through it, you have to find your mirror and face what you did when you were alive. And if you can't face what you did when you were alive, you will never make it out of the mirror again and will be stuck in there for the rest of time. Now that we have the setting out of the way, we can get into some of the reasons the gauntlet is even there to begin with. The gauntlet in this universe is a giant spire that goes all the way up from hell to heaven. Now, it is a place anyone can start. Depending on what your sin is, you start at different points in the spire. So if you are the worst person of the worst, you are going to be starting at the bottom. Do not worry, there will never be a story in my books where like a sex offender or a bad person who is genuinely bad is ever going to be redeemed, because we're not doing that. We ain't doing that. No groomers are getting up into heaven in my books. They're getting kicked straight down to hell. Whatever's below hell, actually. In the basement of hell, they're getting what they deserve, okay? So, in the spire, just like in the games, you can fall. So if you're doing parkour and swinging over a bridge, you can accidentally trip, mess up, and fall. Now, falling works differently in this book. When you fall in the game, you kind of respawn. That is similar to what happens in the book. However, in the book, you do die. Okay, not really die because you're a soul and you can't really die in this universe, but you splat. You feel all of the pain when you hit the ground. So you kind of splat and your legs kind of fly off and your blood goes everywhere. You know, kind of gruesome. I wanted it to be a comedy with lots of dark parts in it. Another really important thing is every sinner will just immediately spawn into whatever part of hell they were supposed to be in. So whatever part of the gauntlet, whether it be wrath, sloth, or whatever, they will spawn into the correct part they are supposed to be in. And every sinner that spawns is given a demon. Basically, the demons act as guides and informational banks for you while you are there. They're also to tell you you're doing a bad job and to put you down and to basically be condescending and tell you exactly what you did as a human is bad and that you're being punished and that you deserve to be here. Now, on to the demons in this story. Our main character, well, at least I'll tell you our male lead character, is named Augustine. He is the jester of this series. Each book is going to have the Gauntlet of Heaven as the main title, and then a smaller title that is either the jester, the second book, the butler, the pirate, the cook, things like that. So the main male character is going to be, for the first book, it is going to be the jester. Now, demons in our story are not different from angels. They are actually the same thing. And spoiler if you don't want to know, angels and demons in my book are the same thing. It just depends on where they are. In heaven, they are angels. They are good, they are light, they don't have to punish anyone. But as soon as an angel goes to hell, they turn into a demon. They just become a demon. They get black wings, their gold markings turn into black markings. They can choose to be in hell, they can choose to be in heaven. It really depends. Some angels just like to punish sinners, and some demons like to uplift humanity, so that's what they do. And of course, depending on if they are in heaven or they're in hell, they're going to look slightly different. An angel is going to look like what you think angel in the Bible is going to look like, all the eyes and all that, except they are going to be gold, white, and light blue, very pastel colors. They are going to have many eyes on their wings. They're going to have gold markings on their hands, feet, and around their eyes. And when they turn into demons, they get black wings, they get horns, they get red, black, or dark gray. I also like the idea of maybe the demons having skull faces, like an animal skull or a human skull. I think that could be really cool. Okay, now let's get on to the characters and the plot of the story. The first character, like I said, is called Augustine. He is an angel, or, well, in this book, a demon. He was originally a sinner that worked his way up from the gauntlet to be a redeemed soul, and is now working the gauntlet as a job to get a higher place in heaven. Augustine, when he was alive, was the king's favorite jester in medieval times. When he was alive, he was mischievous and playful. He was a teaser and very quick-witted. He was basically a rage baiter. I would say definitely a rage baiter. For better or worse, he ended up killing the king. Won't go into how it happened, but the queen was extra crazy and killed him. And because he killed somebody out of anger, he ended up becoming a sinner in wrath as well. But like I said, he completed the trials, the gauntlet, and became an angel. The next character, which is the female main lead, is named Katarina, which I do have to say I really like classic names a lot. I really like the name Augustine and Katarina. They're going to be very common in these books, but I promise I will only ever use names that are easy to pronounce. Like, I feel like Katarina and Augustine are pretty easy names. So Katarina in her life was a warm and loving mother. She had a husband, and she had just had a baby. Unfortunately, this is going to be cliche, her husband was a bad person. He was an alcoholic, he was an abuser, and he was a very bad person who was very controlling over Katarina in her life. Katarina in her life was very naive, very forgiving, very to herself, didn't have any friends, and she had always wanted to be a mother. Now, unfortunately, one day when Katarina was driving her and her child somewhere or back home, her husband got really mad at her and was the reason she crashed the car into a tree, killing her child and ending them both up in the hospital. Now, they all died, unfortunately. Her baby died, her husband died, and she died. However, instead of ending up in heaven, there was a mistake. Katarina was supposed to go to heaven, while her husband went to hell instead. Over the course of the story, Augustine is very interested in her because her soul flickers between every color of hell. You see, every time a soul dies and turns into a sinner of the gauntlet, their soul turns into the color they were put into, depending on what ring of hell they're in. So her soul should have been red for wrath. However, her soul, instead of being that color, fluctuates between every color of every ring of hell, when it is not supposed to. To Augustine, he finds this very entertaining and very interesting, and thus likes to stare at her quite a lot. A few things that we added to the book that are not enchained together in the game, that are in the gauntlet, is that the gauntlet is a spire, and there are actual cities and civilizations. Usually the inhabitants are what we call forgotten souls. They are souls that had given up trying to ever finish the gauntlet and have made a life for themselves in the gauntlet. You see, the gauntlet changes and reforms within like seconds of each other. 1 minute it could be one way and the next it could be another way. So taking planks, chains, wood, ropes, nails isn't that big of a deal because it'll just be replaced or moved in like another minute. So people have made cities and homes in here. I like to believe that Pride probably has one of the biggest cities in civilizations because no one's getting out of Pride, let's be honest. All of the worst people are in Pride and they're not getting out. But this is just some of the ideas me and my girlfriend have come up with. I really like them. I think it's really interesting, especially when it's based off of a pretty simple and straightforward game. But now that we're into the end of the video, this is where I need your help. If you stayed to the end of the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Teehee, I like it very much. I like having people who like me. I've come up with a couple different designs. Katarina, very pretty, very much love her. She already has a design that we have agreed is the perfect design. It is this. Very pretty and cute. We love her curls, very cute. I love her. However, I am having trouble designing Augustine. Before we make the full cover of the book, I really need your help deciding on what he should look like. I want it to be a monster romance, but I don't know how to draw monsters and I have no idea what kind of monster he should be. I was thinking it would be cool if when angels go to hell, they turned into Cerberuses or Harpies, but I can't seem to draw it right. I have, as of right now, do not get me wrong, I have quite a bit of designs of him that I think are really cool. I'll show them on screen right now. A lot of these designs are very cool. I like them a lot. Like I said, there's a couple designs with a skull face. There's a human skull face and an animal skull face. I like a lot of the design elements. Like, I kind of like the long hair from one of them and maybe the outfit from another, but I'm not sure. If you could put in the comments which of these designs you like the most, or what you like about this book, or what you would change, that would help me so much. Anyway, that's all I had to say. I just wanted to share this idea with you and see what you think. And if you'd like more content going over this book and this universe, let me know and I can make in-depth videos or even tell you how you can design your own character in this universe. With that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing day. I hope all your dreams come true. Bye-bye.